Let's talk about forecasting recovery. That's a big part of coaching at this point in the season, where we have people coming off of goal races, people going into goal races, people coming off of a break and getting ready to change the emphasis of training for a few months. And I've tried to choose workouts that are appropriate for those that are still building towards a goal race, whether that be Bayshore or Carmel or other things. Also for those people that are coming off of an earlier marathon or the mini marathon, and now we're gearing up more of that 5K, 10K training, whether it's for a specific race like Monumental Mile or 5K, or just races to be chosen at some point of 5K, 10K distance to increase VO2, increase running economy before going into the next marathon, half marathon phase. So in doing that, it's important as you go into these workouts to make sure that you feel recovered enough to take on the challenge of the workout, to make sure that you feel like you can do the full workout. Maybe we just need to dial it back. Maybe we need a different workout. For personal coaching runners, obviously I'm trying to do that, but I still may be forecasting your recovery several weeks out. So if you come off the mini marathon, there's what I would expect amount of time for you to recover. You might be back, you've had several runs, you're feeling great. Maybe as you got close to the mini, you didn't feel like you're at the end of the season like you sometimes do and you really need a break. Maybe you're ready for more a little bit sooner. We know there's factors that can speed recovery. We also know that there's a lot of factors easy to come by that slow recovery. So maybe we thought you'd be recovered. Maybe we thought some of the workouts we're going to talk about today would be appropriate, but you're there and you just don't feel ready. Whether it's physical or mental, for whatever reason you're not ready, then we need to talk about it. We need to adjust that. And the most difficult part of prescribing workouts is when we're in this transition phase. So especially if we're going from goal race to getting back into training, let's talk if the workouts don't seem appropriate. So with that in mind, let's talk about the week of May 11th. We start with a high quality workout of 61st Street Mix. It's named 61st Street because that's the street that runs south of the Broad Ripple track where we have traditionally done that. Maybe this time we do it in Arden, maybe we do it at the track. We'll take a little vote that day and see where people want to do it. But it can be done on the roads, it can be done on the track. Either way is great. So it's a mix of different things, as you might guess from the title of the workout. So we start with 800s or half mile repeats. And most of you will have two. Some of you may have as many as four, but 2 to 4 times 800, and those are at 85 to 90%. 85 to 90% is anaerobic threshold. So it's okay if you're producing some lactic acid, but we don't want so much that you can't buffer it. If you go through an 800 and you run it about as hard as you can go, and you're anaerobic for the last 400 of it, you cannot recover in 2 to 3 minutes. Actually, recover in 200 meters, and then in 2 to 3 minutes to do the steady state run. You won't be able to go on with the rest of the workout. So make sure that if you go over threshold, aerobic threshold, you haven't gone over anaerobic threshold, and you're not tying up over the last 150 or 200 of the 800. So fast, but some control to it. A good warm-up obviously will help. So we're doing maybe 2 of those, 200 meter recovery jog in between. After you're done with however many 800s or halves you have, 2 to 3 minute recovery jog. And then we go into a 2 to 3 mile steady state run at threshold at 85%. We want to be top end aerobic threshold, so you're not producing any lactic acid. If we did that in all 3 components of this, it's a little bit more of a killer than we want it to be. When you finish the steady state run, 2 to 3 minute recovery jog, and then we're going into 400s at 90%. And those basically go as hard as you can. We don't need any great kick at the end. You don't need to just do everything you possibly can to pull a muscle, but those should be nice and hard. They should, at the last 100, you should be anaerobic. You should be looking forward to that finish line. But you've managed it well enough that in 200 meters, you can do it again. Most of you will have 4 of those. Some of you will have 2 of those. So pretty good workout. Some of you might have, the average person is going to have a mile of 800s and a mile of quarters and 2 to 3 miles of steady state. So it's 4 to 5 miles of quality. That's pretty good work. What this workout does and why we're mixing these components is it builds stamina, especially with the steady state run, but also with the total volume of it, it's going to help you maintain a pace. We're getting economy. When we get to anaerobic threshold, and then when we maybe go over that and just go plain anaerobic with the quarters, we're pushing up your running economy. And then the 400s and even the 800s are fast enough to where you might get that feeling of, I just can't get my legs turned over any faster. I think I could go faster. I'm breathing hard for sure, but my lungs aren't my limiting factors. How fast can I go? What's my turnover? And anytime you feel like that, or anytime that you're going just pretty much as fast as you can go, we're working on speed. So we're getting those 3 components. So it's a great workout. Moderate quality workout. We're going to do more stamina building. And this is important if you still have that goal race to come, that half marathon or marathon goal race. Obviously, anything that we can do to spend more time at high end aerobic, that's going to be beneficial to holding in pace for a marathon or half marathon. If you are transitioning and you're getting into that 5K, 10K, more summer training block, it's going to enable you to do more high quality workout without slowing down. So it's purposeful for a couple of reasons. Yes, it is a bit redundant with the steady state run up there, but it's so important that redundancy is okay in this case. And this is a moderate quality workout. So this is one where you warm up, you see how your legs are cooperating, and you say, this is what I have. I'm going to spend my time at 75%. There won't be any up to 85%. My legs are just too tired, energy level, whatever. I'm going to be at 75%. But I know what will happen with this. If you go into this and you think, I got to get to 85% right away, and some of you may be able to do that, and great, more power to you. That's what we want. We want to spend as much time as high as possible in that zone. But if you do that, it's going to be challenging from the beginning. And then it actually gets a little easier once you get up there. Some of you might go into that, and if you try to hit 85% too quickly, you'll get demoralized and say, I just don't have today. I'm shutting it down. I did 1,200 meters at that effort. Now I'm just going to jog it in from here. If you go into this and give yourself permission to run at 75%, you're going to get there, and that comfortably hard is going to feel okay, and you'll see your heart rate kind of going up, and you'll get in a rhythm, and you'll feel good, and you'll probably end up spending more time at 80 to 85% than you anticipated. So try, see how it feels. Just don't put any pressure on yourself that you have to hit threshold right away. If you feel good, don't hold back. Long run. A couple different paths with the long run this week. Many of you that are doing Bayshore or Carmel did your last long run maybe this past week. If you haven't, if that was a down week for you and you did a modified aerobic threshold run or you did a goal pace run, okay, we might be long run this week. And again, that will be determined by what your race schedule did and what recovery you needed in the way. So you kind of know that. So many of you will be doing an endurance run. If you have already had your goal race, you're maintaining weekly mileage, you're maintaining some kind of mental callus to the long run. We don't want to go into that 5K, 10K training I've mentioned a few times already and get so far away from long runs that when it's time to get back to marathon, half marathon, for those of you that's your focus, and that's most of you, we don't want 12 miles to feel like 20 does right now mentally. So we want to have enough long runs in there, enough longer long runs that you feel comfortable jumping right back in, okay? If you ran long this past week, this week might be a modified aerobic threshold run, 75 to 80%, or a goal pace run. And Rachel actually asked this question earlier today, very timely, because as I started writing the outline for this, it was, I can work that answer in because she's probably not the only one with that question. The reason I wrote many of those as 75 to 80% or M.A.T. run is because if it warms up all of a sudden, and right now the forecast does indicate that, yes, we might actually be getting some warm weather coming this week. If we get that, I don't want you out there killing yourself to run a goal pace that in that weather is a lot harder than what we would want it to be. So anyway, so you might have an endurance long run, you might have a modified aerobic threshold run, or you might have a goal pace run. If you're not sure if that's right for you, let me know. It's pretty easy to determine what's best for you at this point, especially now that we're a week out. If I wrote that 3 weeks ago, we can update that if needed. We still have those current paths of Carmel half marathon and marathon. We have those of you that are already switched gears and are thinking Monumental Mile or 5K or other races in the summer. So let's make that fit. If you have any questions, let me know.